Hi guys, it's Dan from Kent Boot Camps. Welcome to the KBC'S larder. We're going to be talking about dairy today. Dairy is a massive constituent for most people's diet. As you probably know, at Kent Boot Camps we advocate whole foods. We like to tailor foods to the individual needs. We're about quality and not processing foods. And dairy doesn't, in my point of view, dairy is no different to that. A lot of people out there have a problem with dairy these days, and on probably the same par with gluten or a lot of grains and cereals. They have trouble breaking them down, digesting them, and intolerances and allergies can manifest in skin problems. Asthma is a big one, phlegm. Lots of ailments can stem, or inflammatory issues can stem from eating dairy. So what I'm going to tell you today may not apply to you if you have a dairy problem, but it may be a little solution. There's some information there as a solution that you can bring dairy back in as a nutritious part of your diet. What we're going to talk about is just a little bit of history. Back in the 1800s, Louis Pasteur brought in a method to kill bacteria in milk. Actually, he brought it in, it was devised for wine and beer, but it wasn't him that used it, it was his method that was used to tackle dirty milk, essentially, to get rid of any of the pathogens, bacteria. And that's quite interesting because obviously 1800s or late 1800s is a bit different than it is now, and the environment and our knowledge behind and how cleanliness of how we milk cows in our approach. So it's kind of like an old a method that's now been used which doesn't really stack up in my view when you look at the research behind it, which is what I've done. Pasteurization, for those of you who don't know, is basically a heat treatment and you get different levels of the milk, the raw product. Now in milk itself, in a raw milk from the cow, straight from the udder, just like mother's milk, it's a whole fat, it's full of great fats, it's full of enzymes, which is really important. It's full of kind of substitutes which basically tackle natural bacterial killing or pathogen killing and keep it sterile, if you like. So when it comes out of the udder, it basically helps protect the calf from bacteria. So when you start to pasteurize it, what that does, or heat it, is that it kills the bacteria and the enzymes. The bacteria obviously, but it also kills the enzymes. And it's the enzymes and the bacteria, the good bacteria in the milk and the dairy, which actually A, eat the sugar and the lactose, and B, protect the milk from any bad bacteria, if you like. Pasteurization also stops it fermenting. Normal milk, as you know, when it goes off and it's sell-by date, has that horrible smell. It's pretty rancid and it can make you sick. Well, raw milk straight from the cow, it doesn't go off, it doesn't go rancid, it just ferments, it goes sour, it just changes. You get the curds in the way, it separates. And in history, we've used those curds and whey and different parts of it, of the milk, naturally to survive. So if you look at the history and the background of milk, it's quite interesting, and it's quite political as well. It's interesting to say that in America, that raw milk is, in some states, particularly California, is allowable, it's legal, but over the majority of states it's not. And over here in England it's not, it's deemed unsafe, and we can only buy it in health food stores, only in farmers markets or straight from the farmer. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the tips you can do in terms of dairy. If you're dairy intolerant, you probably want to not buy milk from, obviously from the mainstream. It doesn't matter whether it's organic or not. Milk is probably in the shops is homogenized also, which is really a bad thing to do to milk as well. That's why they blast the milk through small holes at high temperature, high pressure even, and that separates the fat in the milk essentially. If you remember from the old day, you had a pint of milk from the milkman and the fat rises to the top. We don't get that anymore. And the homogenization is a bad thing for the molecules in the milk, and that's linked to atherosclerosis and heart disease. So if you drink milk, cereal, etc. in the mornings, and it's not organic, that's the other thing, I would come off it completely. Reason to if you're buying non-organic, the reason why that's not great is because farmers, as we see in the press recently, will use antibiotics to prevent bacterial infection, so they can mass produce it, and that's obviously not great because that gets in our system. So if I was to eat dairy, I would definitely have organic. I would definitely have whole fat milk. I would ditch any semi-skimmed, skimmed, and I wouldn't even go anywhere near long life milk. It's a complete dead product. It's just left with sugar. Essentially, when raw milk is in its natural state and it's left, the good bacteria in the milk will ferment and it'll eat the lactose, the sugar in the milk. So if you have a problem with blood sugar levels, like something like kefir, which is like slightly fermented milk, you can get that from health food stores, is a great choice. But in an ideal world, and I've just found a great place in Rootham, just outside Rootham, just east of Sevenoaks, there's a farm called Winterdale Farm, and I went up there this week, and they sell raw dairy, the nectar of raw dairy. So obviously this is whole milk, and this is straight from the udder essentially, and all the animals have been tested for TB. It's an absolutely safe milk to drink. It contains all the enzymes, good fats, and it tastes pretty good. So you can go up there and top up in your urn. You can take stuff with you, you can take containers, and you can literally fill up some milk, and it's pretty much the same price as normal milk. If you're going to eat cheese, I would opt for cheese which is unpasteurised. Now, you don't have to go to a farmer's market for this. You can go to a good supermarket, Waitrose or whatever. You can go to farmers markets or health food shops. But they do, this Winterdale farm does unpasteurised cheese, and obviously it's from raw milk. So again, it's very easy to digest. It contains enzymes, minerals, lots of vitamins, and it's pretty good for you. I would just, as normal, stock up on dairy that is the best quality that you can get your hands on. Just a note is that if you don't live near Rootham, or you can obviously Google raw milk, you can freeze milk and it actually doesn't disturb its natural state. So it's not an excuse that you can't get hold of it. It's worth going to check, to go to some of these places, maybe locally farmers market, get yourself hold of a batch and then freeze it. But I certainly wouldn't, I would ditch any kind of processed, low-fat, highly homogenized or pasteurized dairy. It isn't good for you, and it's just going to cause inflammation in the body. So, hope that helps. Go and check out a website called realmilk.com. There's a non-profit organisation called Western Aid Price, which is massive in America. Get a lot of research from that. It's good to look at where and why the food industry has banned raw milk and where it comes from. Go and check it out. Don't take my word from it. Go and check out Winterdale Farm in Rootham. It's lovely cheese, great quality milk, and enjoy good health. So I'll hopefully see you at boot camp soon. Hope that's interesting, and have a good rest of the week. Take care now. Bye.